When you think of the strongest characters in anime, some characters usually come up, but I'm willing to bet that characters from Attack on Titan never even enter the conversation. And I get it, compared to most big battle shonen, characters like Levi and Eren are just not that powerful. Hell, even the rumbling isn't that big of a deal to a lot of characters. They just really aren't packing that big of a punch. That is, except one. And this character is not only insanely powerful, but also probably just humiliates a lot of your favorite characters in a fight. And that is Ymir the Founder. This is actually a video I promised a while ago when I made that video on if the rumbling happened in real life, and that video did very well, so thank you for being patient on this. Also, this video is sponsored by Gojo vs. Makima, the animation. More about that at the end of the video. Now Ymir, the wielder of the Founding Titan. A lot of people really underestimate this character because her powers have some pretty harsh conditions on them. But at the end of the day, Ymir is a higher dimensional being. Wait, no, stop.
You just had to say it. Higher dimensional? How come we can see it then? I hate this phrase being used by people. Please check out a bit more on the subject and learn how ridiculously idiotic that phrase is. If something is higher dimensional, it's 100% beyond anything and everything we can conceive. We can't see it, we can't interact with it, we can't perceive it in any imaginable way. There is no try, there is no chance, there's nothing. It's literally like saying the length between 2 points, not a line, but the length between 34 millimeters, has a chance of beating you in a fight. Truly idiotic idea beyond belief.
Alright, you make a solid point. Higher dimensionality is a crazy claim to make, and you really gotta back it up. You just forgot one thing. It's a fictional story. A higher dimensional being can be a lot of things, it really depends on the writer behind it, so bringing that into power scaling can be tricky because there's authorial intent to consider. After all, there aren't any real-world examples of higher dimensional beings that we can factually confirm. That all being said, Ymir resides in the realm of the Paths, and it is a place that is often stated to transcend the limits of time and space. Her powers have no spatial limitations. As long as someone she can affect exists, she can do so no matter where they are. She exists beyond the confines of time, as when Eren is shown how she sees things, he talks about how there's no distinction between past and future. It is also stated to be a realm entirely beyond death. Theoretically, the only way to actually hurt her would be by accessing the paths, since that's where she went after she died. As long as she is there, her power can reach across any point in time and space, and she is completely untouchable. That sounds like a higher dimensional being to me. But I do keep mentioning her powers, so what are they? The one that people know best is her ability to make titans. Every titan you see in the series is personally designed by her. So yeah, she purposefully made the other Ymir's titan look like that, probably out of spite for the whole name thing. And she can give them all sorts of things, from armor to wings to claws. The only real limitation is that what they do is usually biologically feasible. There aren't any titans firing off lasers or anything. And as far as physical stats go, their best showings are things like reacting to cannon fire and firing off attacks that create sonic booms. All in all, Titan creation seems to be her main ability, but it's also her weakest by a long shot. The only really impressive thing about it is that we see how she makes the Titans, by using the sands in the paths. A task that looks like it takes a really long time, but from our perspective, it's instant. A flash of lightning and bam, a whole flesh mecha from seemingly nothing. Like I said, a realm beyond time, but still a very weak ability on its own. However, she does have some other very interesting abilities. Probably one of the most insane powers that Ymir has is anatomy manipulation. Now, Titan creation is probably just an extension of this power, but it's so insane that it has to be mentioned as its own thing, because she can just control the anatomy of any Eldian however she wants. In the past, a king used this power to save the subjects of Ymir from a deadly plague. Zeke wanted to use this power to render all of them infertile, unable to produce children. Hell, we can probably give this power credit for Titan shifters being able to regenerate and all the other crazy stuff they can do. And these are just small things. Total control over someone's anatomy is an insane power. Ymir could just remove a person's spine at will, make their heart stop beating, turn off their brain. There really shouldn't be any kind of hard limit on this, and that isn't even all Ymir can do. Memory manipulation is a power that comes up a lot. Through the power of the Founders, someone can rewrite the memories of the subjects of Ymir, like when they were made to forget all of their history before the walls were created. And that's just the tip of it really, because this power is more of a broader mind manipulation. The vow to renounce war is a good example of that, with Karl Fritz making it so that any inheritor of the Founding Titan would be ideologically against any conflict. We also see this in how the Founder can basically command Titans to do whatever they want them to do. It's very likely this power to control people's will extends beyond just the Titans, as Armin is convinced that Eren should be able to control their actions to not oppose him. That is the real power of Ymir, the Founder, existing beyond the limitations of space and time with absolute control over people, both mind and body. With the only real limitation being that this only works on her own people, the Eldians, the subjects of Ymir. So yeah, put her up against someone like, I don't know, Naruto, and she can't really do anything. Except here's the thing, that limitation is kind of total nonsense. Because a single line of dialogue in chapter 137 and the final episode changed everything about just how powerful she actually is. After escaping the paths, Armin talks about how every Eldian is connected to one another by the paths. He then states his belief that this is because the Founder Ymir wanted to be connected. And isn't that just kind of insane? Because the biggest limitation on her power was that it could only be used on those connected by the paths, which are her own people. But that limitation is apparently so completely arbitrary because it only works that way in response to her desire. Hell, her main ability to create Titans is the same way. Zeke states his belief that she created the form of a Titan for its size, power, and ability to regenerate out of a desire to live. Now obviously this is just taking statements as total facts, but this is backed up by Eren being able to use the Founder to manipulate Mikasa's memories, something she should be resistant to as an Ackerman. Now if these limitations are just completely imaginary, then that would make Ymir one of the most powerful characters in all of fiction. If her limitation to only impact Eldians isn't real, then she could just connect the paths to anyone she wants. Put her against someone like Goku and he's one heart attack away from taking the loss on that. Sorry, he has anatomy and she can control that, I don't make the rules. Put her against someone like Saitama and suddenly he loses all will to fight. Sorry, he has a mind with will and memories and she can control that. Now there is another limitation that someone could bring up. Eren states that this blending of past and future completely messed up his head. He was just going with the flow to reach a certain endpoint. I have seen some claim that this limitation also applies to Ymir, with her being ultimately dictated by some kind of fatalism. And I honestly can't see it that way. There's definitely a difference between people who have the power of the Founding Titan and Ymir herself. Ymir was always held back by her loyalty to Fritz, but that's just a personal flaw. Wielders of the Founder are just straight up affected by her power, like with the vow to renounce war. Plus, never once does she seem disoriented by her view of time. Hell, if she is taken by the whims of fate like some say, then it is extremely convenient that the endpoint everything was going towards was Mikasa freeing her from her love. You know, exactly what she wanted to happen. Now I get there's a lot of speculation here, you're free to disagree, but I think there's plenty of evidence to suggest that Ymir is just ridiculously powerful. But hey, let me know what you think. Is Ymir just as limited as she was portrayed for so many years, or is she truly such a powerful deity of a character? That's up to you. So if you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe and give me your thoughts in the comments. But before signing off, it's time to talk about this video's sponsor, me. I already made a video talking about it, but for the past few months, I have been producing an animation of Gojo from Jujutsu Kaisen versus Makima from Chainsaw Man. One of the coolest matchups of modern shonen, and it's our intention to show it. It'll be in traditional 2D animation as you're all used to with both shows, and this is backed by some amazing animators that I have brought onto the project. But unfortunately, we can't do this alone, so if you want to support the project, sign up for the Patreon to get a look behind the scenes like character sheets, storyboards, and all kinds of fun stuff. Link is down in the description below. If this sounds cool to you, be sure to check it out and keep up with the updates. Also, shout out to our honored 1-tier patrons who are already supporting the project. Sage, Hardy Hologram, Golden Dom, thank you so much for your support. But that's the video, so in the meantime, take care and have a good one.